For those of you who live in parts of the world where getting out on the road isn't always possible because of ice or weather conditions, sometimes the turbo is the only reasonable alternative to keeping spinning, getting your legs moving. Obviously for that you need turbo, but then there's a lot of new apps on the market. Well, not new, some are quite old, but there's a lot of apps and choice on the market now for enhancing the experience. Turboing can be a bit boring, you know, you go on the bike, you just pedal, and after a certain amount of time it does get a bit boring, either in terms of just, you know, there's nothing really to look at, but also in terms of the motivation. So there's a bunch of products on the market, as I said, and for this review I'm reviewing the BigRingVR, which is a fairly new entrant to the market. It's currently in beta, it's a free beta, and the key differentiators that they're sort of placing on themselves are the fact that it's really stunning high quality video footage that you'll be able to watch whilst you're riding. However, what I'm going to do before I get into the details of the product is just take you through some of the things you're going to need to get BigRingVR up and running for yourself. So this is the Cyclops Fluid 2 Turbo. Okay, so it's not intelligence or anything. It's just a sort of resistance trainer, and then I've got my cadence sensor here on my crank arm, and then if you can see there, I've got the speed sensor here. Both of them are the Garmin units, and they transmit their data over and plus. Okay, and then obviously that's where I get my resistance from. The way that this particular trainer works is that I just simply change the gear to get either more resistance or less resistance, and as I said, it's then got this virtual power curve algorithm which the BigRingVR knows about, and then converts that into actual speed in the course itself. So the first thing you're going to need is one of these, obviously a laptop, PC or Mac, something like that, and you're also going to need a dongle or something like that, which as you can see here I've got on the side of my USB port, and that is that's a Garmin Ant Plus reader. But basically you need either a Bluetooth sensor or a Ant Plus sensor on your bike that is feeding information to the computer, and then you'll need a Bluetooth Smart or an Ant Plus dongle. Personally I've gone for Ant Plus, as I think it's just dedicated to kind of fitness equipment and stuff, whereas Bluetooth Smart tends to be a lot of equipment out there with Bluetooth Smart, and I was worried that things might get a bit crushed in terms of bandwidth and stuff. So I went for the Ant Plus, so that's the Garmin Ant Plus USB dongle just on the side there. If you go to the BigRingVR.com site, you can then download the program, and because this is in beta, what you don't get is a really fancy installation and everything like that. In fact, it basically downloads as a zip file, which you can then extract into a folder, and you'll see it there, it just comes up as a folder, and then you basically start the executable, which is BigRingVR. Now this is basically starting, and then before you actually start you need to set up the program with a couple of different settings in terms of your sensors and stuff like that, and you can also link it to your Strava account and things. So the first thing to do then is to go to Preferences, click on Preferences, and the fourth tab along you'll see Ant Plus Sensors. Now what I've done is I've actually created a new configuration. So creating a new configuration, and I've called it the Cyclops Virtual Power, and basically what I've done is I've got it to detect my speed and cadence sensors from my bike, and it's also picking up my heart rate monitor from my Phoenix 3 HR, which is this wrist watch here. That can be set up to broadcast the heart rate as I start an activity. Very simple. What you do is you basically create the new configuration, and then you'll see, in fact, why don't I do that now? Create a new configuration, and then you can see that you've got the various different sensors: heart rate, power, speed, cadence, speed. So that depends if you've got a single speed and cadence sensor or separate speed and cadence sensors, and also if you've got an Ant Plus Smart trainer. So all I would do is select cadence and speed. So I hit search and search. Then basically you've just got to wake your sensors up. So sometimes you need to just pedal or move the wheels or something, and that'll wake the sensors up. Those will automatically then come up as say found, and then what you then need to do, what I had to do was use virtual power and then select the Cyclops Fluid 2 trainer. So the Fluid 2 trainer has got a virtual power curve based on an algorithm based on your speed and cadence, and then also the altitude, the slope that you're on and stuff. So it'll work out your virtual power from that, and from that it then determines your speed on the actual course that you're running. So I'm just going to show you the bike now. Then also in the last tab here I've got a Strava tab, and this is where I can connect to my Strava account so that I can then have a look at the various rides that I have done and uploaded to Strava. If you connect your Strava account at the end of the ride, the ride will be automatically uploaded to your Strava account. And then once you've exited out of the preferences, as you can see, then you've got all of the different routes here, and I'm sort of told that they're uploading new routes all the time. So you can go through here, you can see the kind of routes that they've got. There's a lot of climbing involved. This is a sort of climbers software, if you like. So you can expect to climb a lot of the big cols. So things like Col de Galibier and Val d'Isère, Alps d'Huez, etc. And then you can see here there's a sort of thumbnail of the video to the right hand side, and also the broken down profile. So that's it. So basically you select then the particular route that you want to ride. So let's say you're going to go for Big Thompson Canyon, and then just click start down here. So as you can see, it's loading the video up and buffering it, and then it'll basically go into ready state. So the sensor will now be waiting, and then as soon as I start cycling, we'll be off on our ride. And obviously, depending on how fast I'm going, based on the information that's being sent from the sensors, will determine how fast this video rolls. So I'll update you within the ride and come back to you. Right, so here I am on the turbo. I've just started a ride on BigRingVR, and I've set it up on the computer to use my heart rate from the Phoenix, which is transmitting my heart rate from my wrist, and I'm using the speed and cadence sensors. So I'll do that again. I'm using the speed and cadence sensor on the bike. So the cadence sensor is here, and the speed sensor is on the rear wheel on the hub. And on BigRingVR there is a setting in the preferences where you set the different sensors up. So I set it up for the heart rate, the cadence and the speed sensor, and then within the settings there you can select virtual power, and I've selected the Cyclops Fluid 2, which is that trainer there. So hopefully, all in all, that's now transmitting nicely to the BigRingVR, and you can see now my progress on this particular ride. I'll just show this to you. So on there you can see my revs per minute, the estimated power, currently about 215 watts, my speed, because actually I'm on a bit of a downhill here, so it's taking that into account. So I'm on 48 kilometers an hour, and how far I've gone, 1.5 kilometers, and how far I've got to go, 13 kilometers. And you can see the gradient there at -4, so obviously I'm going downhill. So the idea now is that I'm going to complete this ride and report back. So here I am, partway through my ride, and I'm just going to show you something. So on my Phoenix, which is picking up the cadence sensor and the speed sensor, it's saying to me at the moment that I've just done a lap. Here we go. It's telling me I'm doing 28, just over 28 kilometers an hour on the speed. Now, if I show you the actual BigRingVR software, okay, it's showing that I'm only going 14 kilometers an hour. Now, the reason for that is that I've got a 6.2% gradient at the moment, so it's taking that into account and it's factoring it and making my speed much more realistic in terms of the ride that I would be doing now. And it's using the Alps virtual power settings that I set up earlier in the preferences to give me that more accurate riding experience, and it's hard work. Right, I've shed the jacket now. It's getting a bit toasty in here. One of the other big selling points about BigRingVR is the quality of the video. So they pride themselves on the fact that it's super high, super HD quality streamed video, and the fact that this is streaming over what is quite normally a pretty dodgy Wi-Fi area for me in here, and it's actually fairly glitch free, is a testament to the guys behind this service. So yeah, let's have another look at the quality of the video that's being streamed during this ride. So there you can see it. It's I suppose one of the things that's slightly disconcerting is that when you're climbing, as I am at the moment, up a 6% gradient, the cars on the opposite side of the road look unrealistically slow. Obviously that makes sense because they've only got one video feed and they've got to slow it or speed it up depending on my rate that I'm doing on this turbo. So unless they were going to close the mountain off to record their video segments, it's fairly understandable, but it is slightly disconcerting, I have to say. But there you go, that's just one of those things. The other thing that I think it could do with, perhaps, is some music. Now, I may be wrong, maybe the PC is in completely silent mode, but I don't think it is. Very nice touch maybe to be able to link this to your Spotify account or something, and you could play a playlist while you're listening while you're riding on the turbo and watching the video. There's my mind going. But the reality is that I don't think it's there. If there is music, I can't hear it. And anyway, I suppose I could just set up a speaker in here to have a playlist playing. But it would just be nice, I suppose, to have it incorporated as part of your experience, and maybe even be able to share those tracks you're listening to when it gets posted to Strava or wherever you happen to want to share this. Now, the other observation is that according to this service, I've just done 7.3 kilometers. Now, my Phoenix is telling me I'm doing, well, I've done 9.4. Now, obviously there is a discrepancy as well, because the Phoenix doesn't know what gradient I'm going up, so it's basing it purely on a flat level speed that it's getting from the speed and cadence sensor. So there's no finesse put in there. So that's worth remembering too, that the BigRingVR will give you a much more realistic distance travelled. But if you're interested in just getting as many kilometres under your belt as possible, then just take the speed from the speed sensor, and the Phoenix will do the rest. Another way BigRingVR differentiates itself from the likes of Zwift or Sufferfest is that it's basically you against the ride. There's no opponents, There's no one there telling you to go faster, close the gap, chase down the next group, etc. So this is really, I think, aimed at people who are used to cycling solo and people who are used to being able to motivate themselves up a hill and don't require that extra spurt or extra motivation to drive them. I have to say, it is a pretty pleasant experience, despite being on a turbo, to be able to see the really high quality video and the beautiful scenery that's being displayed on the monitor. And this is even on a, you know, fairly small 17-inch laptop. If you've got a big screen, I can imagine it could be quite encompassing. But yeah, back to my point really, that this is really about solo riding, solo efforts, not really requiring those extra motivational drivers. In fact, Cyclops have their own version of this software, which is a premium service, and I think it costs about somewhere between £5 and £10 a month. And whilst the video might not be as good looking as the video I can see, it does have some extra features, but I'll cover that in an entirely separate review of that software on another video. But I'm just going to enjoy this now, try and finish this ride and get back to you at the end, show you what happens when you've finished. Okay, so there we have our come to the end of the ride. I've warmed down a tiny bit, not enough though, and I was going to show you what happens next, but before I do that I just wanted to remind you that the other big difference between this and many of the other services is that this is entirely free at the moment. So it's in beta, and who knows, that might change, but as it stands at the moment, as something of a free resource for riders who want to have a bit more fun on their turbo sessions, then well, I'm not sure how much better you can get than this. Anyway, alternatively obviously you go out on the road, but it's not always possible when it's icy like it is at the moment in the UK. Oh, right, struggling to off. Then so once you've finished the ride, you can see that you get an option to add the ride to favourites. Why not? I quite like that duration of ride, and you can rate it. So I'm going to give that a good rating. I enjoyed that, and I'm going to save it. Now, what that does is it saves it into my library, as it were, and you can see it's also uploading now to Strava, because I previously linked my Strava account to my BigRingVR account. So that will appear in Strava, and when I've got cleaned up a bit and dried off, I'll show you what that looks like in Strava itself, and the kind of data you get from it. Anyway, so that's BigRingVR. Check the description for URLs and all sorts of things. Definitely check it out. You can see the steam coming off me. It's a good workout. Right, well, that ride that I did earlier was actually the other day. I've grown a few more whiskers, but what I'm going to do now is just take you through how the rides look on Strava once they've automatically been uploaded by BigRingVR. So once the ride's been uploaded automatically to Strava, you can see it comes in here, and so here's my BigRingVR Wind River Pass. So if I click on that, I'll be able to see my ride in all its glory. I can see that I've got a third place overall on this ride, so that's pretty exciting, except when I actually go into the details, I'll actually find out that it's not that exciting, because there's actually only 3 riders and I'm last. But anyway, I'm sure as this software gets more popular and people start riding these routes, that perhaps I won't remain last, or maybe I will remain last, but I just won't remain third. Anyhow, what you can see here obviously is all the information about the ride, the analysis. You can see your virtual speed here. You can see power, heart rate and cadence. So all of the information is there in Strava for you. You've got the map obviously as well, and we can also do things like look at the power curve, heart rate. This is actually, I do have a Strava premium account, but I'm actually uploading these rides into a separate account, which is my sort of virtual account, as I wanted to differentiate them from my normal rides. But anyway, as you can see, all of that information there is loaded up really nicely into Strava, and yeah, it's fantastic. So I'll switch back now to a final summary. So given that BigRingVR is in beta at the moment and obviously free, it's really difficult not to recommend it. I actually think the video quality is stunning. It does, as I've said, differentiate from the likes of Zwift and Sufferfest in that it doesn't, it doesn't have that competitive element. It's really just you against yourself. And actually, for me, I prefer that. I quite like riding. I'm very much a lone rider on the roads. I don't really ride in groups, and as such, it allows me to be in competition with myself, and it also takes away a lot of the mundane elements of being on a turbo. In fact, in the last 3 days, I've done about 75-80 kilometers on the turbo, which is fairly unheard of for me. So it obviously is doing it's having a positive effect on me and my ability to sit on a turbo for any prolonged period of time. And to be honest, I mean, I've been to Val d'Isère quite a few times skiing, and to be able to actually cycle up the road that takes you into Val d'Isère is there's something about that which is quite special. So definitely looking forward to seeing how this service develops. But given that it's free, and if you've got the kit, why not try it out? Take a look. All the URLs and everything are in the product description. If you like this video, please obviously like it, share it if you want to do that too, and check out my other videos. I will be trying to cover Sufferfest, Zwift, and also the Cyclops Virtual Trainer as well in due course when I can find the time. But I hope you have found this review of the BigRingVR Virtual Trainer app useful. Thanks for watching.